Okay, Joey, just have a look at the book. I think, having whizzed through it already a number of times, I think one of the issues, as we discussed, is that you have some really good quality outcomes, but that the development, the kind of filling out of the all the possibilities and all the background work needs to happen. There's actually needs to be more content in the book. Not that it's got to be padded out, just that because you're producing quality output, if you really want to be getting full marks, you've got to leave no stone unturned. Let's have a look. So straight away, good quality drawing. Another excellent quality drawing. Maybe working on extending the tone. You've got a good range of tone already. Maybe there's some way of changing the texture of it, like the smoothness and softness of the back. Maybe a little bit more work could be done on that. Some of the detail down here, perhaps you could work on just to really raise this up. It will need evaluating. Both of these need evaluating. And drawing with patterns as well, exploring some of the kind of more unusual possibilities where you start drawing with not just cross hatching, but a range of other patterns. The Emily, yeah, a good study, and a decent write up, well presented page. I think here's an opportunity to start playing with layers straight away and thinking about how if you actually work on acetate or work on tracing paper, you can start to develop something where you've got a range of possibilities. Maybe there's even a kind of a mini outcome to be had from this particular page. Yeah, good detail. I think if you're gonna do some intricate stuff, make it super intricate. The being a woodcut is quite incredible. This person has managed to get such fine detail on it. So maybe this is an opportunity because it's quite a small piece to really fine tune parts of this drawing. Yeah, cracking bit of colour mixing, well done. Good range of photographs, and you've shown some to be larger. That's the way to go. Maybe it even involves a larger page and possibly some additional photographs so that you're fine tuning maybe the lighting or the viewpoint or some aspect of the material that you've got together. Maybe there's a particular theme or grouping you could explore. Um, okay, so now we're looking at the lino, and you've got some source material. I'd like to see more, but building on that idea of taking a range of photographs. I think this was one that we got pretty quickly. It would be interesting to actually just set about making another range of photographs so that you have a range to choose from. This might mean visiting market. It might mean trying out different lenses or different getting very up close. I'm not sure, but I feel like it is a little bit of supplementing. So then we go on to the printing, and you've documented that well, and you've actually added in this other element to the print. It'd be nice to see perhaps this go on a bit further somewhere. Maybe there's somewhere with a relief print where you could actually start taking maybe a cast off it or imprinting into clay or embossing some paper with it somehow, putting it under the press. Just thinking of different ways to get more of a satisfying outcome than the one you've got here. Maybe layering it up and printing on top of something else. There's also the ink transfer method that we tried that I think you missed out on starting late and so on. It could be that this mixes in with this design too. I just think if you're going to go for the high marks, which you really should be, to get a really fluent use of a range of materials in the print medium, you can toy with it more. You could really push to get the full, the much higher marks uh, on it. Okay, so we could do with saying, exploring different drawing techniques. We could do with some actual images, perhaps here of the show green that you've looked at, and it just needs filling in a little bit more. If there's something that's you sort of covered in a way, perhaps you've done some very precise, realistic drawing already. Maybe it's time to actually find somebody else and and possibly remix the stars. I know you do that later on, and that's coming, but early on, there's the opportunity to really kind of go above and beyond in terms of the range of drawings that you choose. Okay. Yeah, so some Photoshop, I'd say. Getting straight in there with some Photoshop. There's a filter on there, Liquify, where you can twirl and twist and smudge monochrome images. So we want to take some images, again, could come from your photography, and make them monochrome, high contrast, and twirl and twist them in Photoshop. Now, you've done some good mixing here. I really like the way you're starting to mix things together, and that continues on. Working with primary sources, you could say, well, how is this different when you're actually looking at something 3D? That's the key thing of working for a primary source, is actually, generally it's 3D, and it means that the light actually changes as it lands on the piece of work, and it changes with perspective and so on. So we need to be clear that the primary is very different from working from secondary sources, photographs and so on. Okay, useful colour experiments. Good to see someone else involved, the Francis Bacon. Work a bit more on the titling, and a little bit of writing down here to explain perhaps how this is very different from the Francis Bacon. A picture of that final piece, the drawing, that would be very useful there. Dissection project, we're jumping straight into a dissection project. Now that feels like it's come around pretty quick, and so I'm thinking about where the abstract work is. We did the work where we were exploring abstract art. So check on the course content. I'll give you a link just immediately under this video. Check on that just to see the chunks that are missing. Going into the abstract work is important, because it just goes all the way from the pattern making to the realism through to something being completely abstract. So the dissection project, well, I'd certainly have in some more pictures of Gunther von Hagens and his work. I would also have some pages of your painting that you did in conjunction with Peter, and possible links that might be useful to connect to that outcome. I think certainly the style, it's worth looking at the Baselitz, German painter who did paint things upside down. I also think possibly even Philip Guston, who does paintings which are kind of comical but rather dark, and quite sort of simply but quite expressively done. So Philip Guston is one of them, and George Baselitz is the other one. And then, of course, lots of the photographs. You can use photographs in the dissection project, and the links to that are in the course content link that I'll put below this video. So Da Vinci, going swiftly on, it'd be nice to have some studies of some Da Vinci, some drawings. It'll all help towards drawing faces, hands, anatomy, and so on. So we need some of that in there. This is an interesting link. I'm wondering where this is going. It's looking very interesting indeed. Janus Cornelis, what's all that about? How does that link in? Very curious, very curious. So, not a lot in the book, quality, obviously, but not a lot in the book. And really check for the gaps. The abstract work, I think, is probably a real key piece of work missing here. But there are a number of different opportunities using the photography, extending the print, extending the Photoshop. So quite a lot to do, Joe, but I think you're aware of that anyway. And so it's going to be a regular building on what you've got there in that book.